power, they get isolated like political leadership. Once they can have their own satellite dish, they can have their own solar, they be out of the national grid. And so whatever happens to every other person, forgetting that you can go to bed, you will not be able to wake. Justice, equity, fair play, bold, inclusive governance. That, please permit me, the cliche that Jonathan brought to bear when he was coming to power. This time around, truly and fairly stated that you may not necessarily have shoes, but you can get to the peak of the peak that you can get to. So that is very, very important. I've mentioned Jonathan. I also mentioned Awolowo. In sense that, be thou an example, so the good book said in 1 Timothy 4. I will have it. Yeah. But and Awolowo did something that was very peculiar. His Mercedes-Benz at that time, WR, Western Region number, would take Tokumbo, his first son, late, would take Rudolapo, would take Mrs. Omotola, that's her name, and take Oluwole. And of course, we see them through school alongside the children of his cook, who is a non-Yoruba, and the children of his driver, who he ensured that they attended the same level of schools that his own children attended, which is public school, and who went barefooted, even though people were throwing stones at him. In Ekiti, where you now have the professors of the professors. Say, what are you talking about? And all that. And went barefooted to Burutu in the South, showing that example that I am the light. And the light that is put on top of a bushel will allow so many people to see. Such exemplary life, different from the kind of ostentation that we see nowadays. You become president, or you become a leader, you become a governor, then your wife, your children, and their children's friends and all that carry themselves in a particular box that they think it is luxury to the detriment of others. That is not justice.
That is not justice when you do things that is detrimental to the happiness, the well-being, the joy, the sanity of others at your own expense. Yes, for your personal gains, and whatever it is you want to attribute everything you do on a daily basis for. So I just hope that, like I've always said, we would have in Nigeria that you and I, Stanley Polikau, Akin Fatuke, and you, I mean you out there, will be proud of. Now let's leave President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his reminder of hope that Nigeria will be great again. This issue of insecurity will become a thing of the past. Let's just keep our fingers crossed. In the days, weeks, months, and maybe perhaps years to come, I just pray, because we are known as a praying nation. We pray most times and we don't act. We do the talking. We'll do less of the walking. So let's leave that and go straight to another. The germane issue right now that's on everyone's lips is what we are delving into. Now, Akifatuke, in my area, the pump price of petroleum products is 1,250 naira. In some areas, it's 1,300. In some areas, it's now 2,000. But Petron, I'm talking about the National President of Petroleum Product Retail Outlet Owners Association, have said if the issue, the war, the crisis between US and Iran doesn't stop, we might buy petrol at 2,000. That's number one. Now, I don't want to, okay, look, because I trust you, if I do two things at the same time now, this won't have enough time to dissect all of that. But then, I'll quickly read this so Akifatuke will react to it. It says Billy Gills, Harry, the national president of the Petroleum Products Retail Outlet Owners Association of Nigeria, Petroa, has issued a warning that the price of the premium motor spirits, premium motor spirits, I beg your pardon, PMS, commonly known as petrol, could exceed 2,000 naira per liter. Similarly, he noted that the price of diesel might reach 3,000 naira per liter if the conflict in the Middle East continues. Now, in a statement made on Monday, Gilles Harry explained that without a clear resolution in sight of for the war, the prices of petroleum products in both international and domestic markets are likely to keep rising as the situation escalates. Now, he said PMS could rise to 2,000 per liter, while AGO may approach 3,000 per liter. That's 3,000 naira per liter if the situation persists. PMS remains essential for our daily mobility, while AGO is vital for manufacturing and industrial operations. It says that the ongoing conflict involving Israel, the United States, and Iran is pushing global petroleum prices. Sustained drone and missile attacks now threaten critical oil routes as it were, and infrastructure, creating uncertainty in global supply chains, adding that the situation would worsen inflation, cause job losses, I beg your pardon, deepen economic hardship, increase transportation, which is what we're facing right now, cost, and raise prices of goods and services nationwide. I'll take a pause here. Okay, let's start with the effect of the US, Iran, and Israel crisis. In the course of our conversation, I read out African countries that this crisis have not really affected because they have everything planned before now. Nobody knows when war crisis would rock or it would happen. But then it looks like we are never prepared for unforeseen circumstances. What do you make of this? We might just, if care is not taken, buy fuel or PMS at 2,000, while diesel would rise as high as 3,000.
Again, thank you, Stanley. And you have picked Africa. You have specifically picked on Nigeria, which I think is the right thing to do because you are first in Nigeria. You are first in Nigeria before you are before you can think of elsewhere. But the point must be made that what economists call a global external shock. What if I know that is where it is, and I have a child who is not vast, and I was not at home, and he or she went to put his hand in the fuse? Now, would that be your fault? You say yes, you say no. Whether you should have covered the fuse, or you have put education in a way that at least everybody can understand. Don't go there. Don't lock it up and stuff. Even when you lock it up, people will find a way to break.
Okay,
and
go
in.
Okay, sorry, I have to cut you here. Now we'll go on this quick break. When we come back, Tom just walked into the studio. I want to hear our own side of the story. I experienced this morning because okay, let me say the other one. We'll just go on this quick break. When we come back, the conversation will continue. I don't know if Tom is prepared to purchase PMS at 2,000 and diesel at 3,000. Akifatika is going nowhere because on the dot of 9:30, like I said, before the start of the program, an Iroko tree again has fallen in the Nigerian sports industry. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back.
Ten singles step into the love pad where love isn't just found, it's tested.
Along. I'm exploring.
Lines blur, desire takes over, and jealousy hits harder than any storm.
I'm jealous, and that's not something I hide.
Some find romance they've waited for their whole lives, and where there's love, there's bound to be heartbreak. In the love pad, every heartbeat counts, but in the end, who will find true love?
happen in just within last time, say 2-3 minutes. You understand the effect of buying PMS at 1,000 to 1,300. I'm being joined this morning by the one and only Tom Aderele, ever young like Jay-Z and that guy said. Tom, good morning.
Good morning, Stanley.
Has Nigeria happened to you?
Well, Nigeria happens to everyone in Nigeria.
Let's
And
particularly.
So am I an exception?
Glad to have you, Tom.
Well, I like to be on this seat, actually.
You can say that again. So we're this global meltdown as far as the economy of the world is concerned. China right now is looking at buying crude from America, and it's looking like if all of this does not end anytime soon, Petronas has said we'll buy fuel for 2,000, we'll buy diesel at 3,000. What do you make of this before I come back to Akifa to get a complete stream of thoughts?
Well, I think if we are able to buy petrol, if we're able to even find these products to buy, then we'll be lucky. We should term ourselves lucky if this war continues, if the crisis continues. Because right now, I think that what's happening is a gradual crippling of various economies. Because you see, when and these are the things I talk about, before we embark on a journey, we must always look at what the pros and what the cons will be. And it's usually good to weigh, both on a scale and decide, eventually if you decide to take, whichever or whatever, well, that's you. But don't forget that they say when two elephants fight, it's the grass that actually suffers. So there's always going to be a trickling down, of the effect of a war with major countries like this. I mean, oil-producing countries and so on and so forth. There's no way. We just have to feel. We have to feel the impact. So whatever it is we are buying petrol at presently. I don't know where it's going to stop. It's going to, for me, I see it's increase per day, per week, per month if this war continues, and that also will affect other things within the economy.
Sure.
You understand? Food will be more expensive. Everything will be more expensive, and then we now have to come back and look at a minimum wage. How much do people actually earn? Will they be able to afford all of these things? Some people will most likely park their cars. Some people would stop going to work, But you look at it, it's a chicken and egg situation. Which comes first? Now, if you stop going to work, how do you earn the little that you've been earning, and how would you do the little things you need to do? But if you don't have the wherewithal to go to work also, that's another issue. So it's not a pleasant thing to look at or to even to envisage, if you ask me. And honestly, I just pray that that God happens to the world.
Akin, she just mentioned the impact, which has started happening. The effect is what we're feeling right now. There's increments in the fare of transportation. As a country, once things like this happens, we see it as an opportunity to milk one another. Now, she just mentioned the impact. Every time I talk for the woman that earns her daily bread by going out. You understand? I look at that man that sells meat at the market. I look at the aboki that sells tomato and onions. All of this would have an effect. But you're saying something the other time.
You just mentioned the issue of diesel prices, not just in Nigeria, PMS, not just in Nigeria, the whole world.
Yeah.
Beyond PMS and diesel is also something we call jet A1. That is the fuel that aviation uses.
Yeah.
You already hear that all over the world, tourism and air travels will become a big challenge. Manufacturing, which fuels her points about minimum wage or not minimum wage, which one comes first, chicken or egg, is going to go down because shipping costs and logistics is going to be affected. And then another area of our primary 20 people. Bring it down,
Okay.
and then play your politics well.
Talking about politics.
Can I say something?
Quickly, Rana,
And
please.
I'll hold my peace.
All right.
You know, I don't know about what you feel. Sometimes you call it an act of God. You just wake up and then you see, apples around you. You didn't do much, and then it looks to me that Mr. President or Nigeria, after the wogo and waga waga and whatever it is, Mr. President, in my opinion, took a right decision to appoint an ambassador, 2 ambassadors indeed. One, Mohammed, that's ambassador to Iran. The other, a young lady who is just pursuing her master's from the southeast to Israel. There's got to be a handshake. Through these two, a lot of international diplomacy to support how Iran will not continue to look at America and Israel alone and punish the whole world. I mean, if you decide to punish the whole world, and also tell Donald Trump, like the European Union and so many other people are saying, enough of all these things, please, let's get to the negotiating table so that the Strait of Hormuz can be able, not by force, but by diplomacy.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, so he mentioned that crude should be sold to Dangote perhaps at an affordable price, now to help cushion the effect. That's the one. Don't you think this would be like, and this might just overwhelm the production of the Dangote refinery? One, because we are now over-reliant on Dangote. I repeat, we are now over-reliant on Dangote to supply us crude. Refined products.
Yes.
I mean, refined products. Now, I said some time ago that the reason why America decided to focus on Nigeria, it's not because of genocidal killing they target. The first day our product through Dangote or from Dangote landed in the United States, I knew the United States would have an eye on Nigeria. Now, that said, isn't this the time where political leaders should start making sacrifices? At this point in time, like we would always say, to lead is to die. Now, if you cannot serve your people with your whole heart at this trying time, you are a senator, you earn over 300 million naira or 30 million naira, let me put it that way. As a House of Rep member, you earn 25 million naira. At this time, if you say, okay, let's start making sacrifices, I will do this, I will do this, I will do this, let all hands now come on there, because take it or leave it, it's time for Nigerian leaders to start making sacrifices, because take it, whether we like it or not, it will continue to, even after the crisis ends, it will take us time to get out of the mess.
The effect of the
Of the effect. So, what do you think right now leaders, from the president to our representatives at both the national and federal, state and national assembly should be doing?
Well, Akin Fatuke has said it all. I mean, in a nutshell, he said everything. And while he was speaking, I said to myself, I hope I didn't sound like a prophet of doom when I said that the prices would increase. But you know what? I was speaking based on assumption. Why? Because I'm not really expecting too much, from the Nigerian leadership, really, in terms of, taking steps, bold steps in the right direction. And that's why I said what I said. But you see, he took the time to actually break it down and tell us what the Nigerian leaders should be doing at this point in time. This is a time to sacrifice. We had talked about, selling crude to Dangote at a cheaper price long before now. We had said that on this table, times without number. But you see, why do we always have to get to a tight spot before we start to think to do the right things? Dangote, by any standard, has been a blessing to Nigeria.
Sure.
And Dangote, for many people, was the man of the year 2025. Perhaps he would still carry that title this year, except somebody just comes and does something that is, totally out of this world, that will sweep Nigerians off their feet. But There's no taking that away from him. Now, if now you now want to, you're expecting, or we're requesting, we're not only just requesting that, we requested it long ago, but was it done? No, it wasn't. Will they do it now? There's nothing we say on this table that would change or determine what the leadership would do. But the only thing that I would say is that I really wish we had a proactive leadership such that, and Mr. President cannot do everything. That's why he has advisors. That's why he has, ministers. That's why he has foot soldiers. If you know what I'm saying. And I think that these people, it's time for them to sit down and tell themselves the truth. And the only time they can do that is if they themselves feel the effect of what's happening. Because you see, if the shoe doesn't pinch you, then you don't understand how it feels. You're less bothered. And that's a situation in Nigeria, because some people are in a different class of their own, and they have made it so. And so they don't, no matter how much you rave and rant, it doesn't bother them. So, yes, I think that they should, sacrifice at this point. Our leaders should sacrifice and take every measure possible to ensure that, that things stabilize within the country, despite what's happening around.
All right, Tom and Akifatuke, I'll quickly read this. Then perhaps we'll just leave this Iran, Israel, and America crisis. Now, it says, following the emergence of Mojtaba Khamenei as Iran's new supreme leader, oil prices climbed up to about $116 per barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate, that's WTI, traded above $108 per barrel in the early hours of yesterday, before retreating to what? To $94.77 per barrel, while Brent closed at $89.45 as of press time yesterday. Now, the rally represents one of the sharpest weekly increases in recent years and has intensified pressure on fuel markets globally, similar to what forced many economies to resort to energy subsidies at the start of the Russia-Ukraine war. Now, according to data compiled across major African countries, major African markets, it showed that while regulatory buffers, pricing windows, and targeted interventions have helped to stabilize prices in countries such as South Africa, Kenya, Sierra Leone, Namibia, Uganda, and Ghana. Nigeria's largely market-driven pricing framework has allowed rapid adjustments as refiners respond to a spike in global crude prices. This was what I was talking about earlier. Now, we'll quickly round up with this. This country I just mentioned, they saw all of this, just like you said. Dangote and all our political leaders need to come on board right now and look for at least a temporary solution to ameliorate all of the hardship that Nigerians would go through. Now, isn't it time? We say we copy this, we copy that, we copy this. These are countries that are proactive. They've seen the effects of the crisis between Iran, Israel, and America, and they look for ways to ameliorate the pressure and the problems it will have on its citizens. And Nigeria, we still not even scratched the surface.
For me, Toun is a mother, and we better start talking reality.
Yeah.
Toun will not sit here as a mother. I will not sit here as a father to tell you that. I will tell my son or my children, don't move near fire. Don't move near fire. Yes, naturally, don't move near fire. But sometimes, you allow them to go touch the fire and go learn sense. Nigeria has been left alone to go touch fire. The Gulf War, starting with Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu regime that has the vision to stop quite a number of things and then recalibrate us. Unfortunately, not supported by the kind of example that we expect. He didn't do it then. My own expectation now is that he's moved near fire. His hand has touched fire. Should he not therefore learn and and say, wait a minute, this is not going to get me anywhere. And so, begin to lead by example, the morality of leading by example. You know, that time you buy cars, you buy yachts, you buy this, you buy the type of dress that Toe is wearing here and now, because you are working hard, okay, all right, you are making money, okay, maybe the money was coming in. Now, if that money is no more coming in, it does not mean that you are going to go naked. You can cut your coat in accordance to your cloth and begin to replan. Like late Professor Ojetunji Aboyade has told us from the onset, like Awolowo has also told us from the onset. Let's now look at it and then begin to. Do you know Nigeria is a market for West Africa?
Yeah, sure.
Do you know Dangote, whether it's the fertilizer, whether it's the other conglomerate that he has? Nigeria is supposed to be a go-to place for many other people to. We depend on Nigeria being able to follow you because they are seeing you showing good example. Now, what has happened in Iraq has shown the whole world. Let America reenact the August 1954. Let Hiroshima and Nagasaki happen. Let it happen and go and say you are going to sink the whole place. You will win the war, but you are going to be left with the battle. The truth is, to everybody, let's go back to our different tents. Let's tell ourselves the basic truth. Yes, I pointed at Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It's not only Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the governors, yourself, myself. Let's tell ourselves those basic truths. Let's recalibrate. Let's rejig. Let's do things a bit differently. Let's be very open. Let's be very transparent. Let's see that I am not eating 3 square meals. And I expect the two of you to be eating no meal or 1 square meal. It just is not going to happen. This is now a time for thinking. This is now not the time that the ruling party has 36 governors. No. Yes.
Think outside.
This is now the time that even if it's only one person that is on the other side, come together. The person said, I don't want to come together. Because together we will have to find a way around this. This is now the time to play less of politics, play more of good politics and good moral standing. That is the only way to go. You know, like I said to Uma and myself, with children, don't go there, don't do this. You do it all the time. And they say, that, allow them to touch the fire. Be careful. Just allow them to touch the fire. He will come running back. Mommy, daddy, and all that. So next time, when I say you should not do certain things, I'm not saying you should not question me, but don't go there. So now you have learned your lesson. Tell others. Act the way it should be acted. Thank you.
Now you've learned your lesson, tell others. So as we begin to wrap up on this segment, are we likely seeing another Adolf Hitler in Donald Trump? Barack Obama said that the diplomacy agreement between Iran and America and every other country is not being followed by Donald Trump. Are we looking at an indirect Adolf Hitler in Donald Trump? Because he seems to be like a dictator.
Okay, very quickly, because we're about to round up, I'm conscious of the time. First of all, Stanley, you said, oh, Nigeria copies this, Nigeria copies that, copies this. We don't copy anything, because our leaders go out all the time and they see what's happening in advanced countries and developed countries, and they don't come back home to do the same thing. Otherwise, we won't be where we are. So that's on one hand. I don't believe they copy anything, and that's why we're where we are in this time, you know, with the petrol crisis. And then back to the Donald Trump one. I'm not going to compare Donald Trump to Adolf Hitler. I'm not going to say we're looking at another Adolf Hitler. I'm just saying that we're looking at Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a unique human being who, I don't know how to describe him, how he processes it. He's just Donald Trump. He's just Donald Trump. Is he a dictator? Yes. Because I don't really think He's a spur of the moment person. He's an impulse person. He doesn't. He barely or rarely carries his people along. Leadership is about moving together, discussing these things and reaching a decision. But he doesn't do that. He's Donald Trump anyway. So Donald Trump is Donald Trump. What he is going to be or what his actions will eventually become is what I can't tell. I don't know the limit of Donald Trump. Donald Trump has no limit, if you ask me. So, well, all I think the world should do is just keep our fingers crossed so that Donald Trump doesn't happen to the world.
I think on that note, I want to say thank you so very much to Tom Adirele. She had to struggle away to be in the studio. And that's why they say commitment, you can't beat it. Thank you so very much, Tom. And to Akifatike, how do you sign up? So I'll start with you because I'll still be here. One man from Mudakeke has beaten the dust. Akifatike, how do you sign up this morning? I know you will come to that, so I'm prepared.
Hope springs eternal.
Yeah.
Like I said, is Donald Trump going to be out of Yopa? I think it's on the road to that because North America supports what he's doing. And I think if care is not taken, please let's balance it. I am not saying in any way that Iran is an Eldorado, a place that they have not had their history. But you see, you be careful not to kill a snail with a sledgehammer. Because once you do that, you can even get yourself injured. And America needs to be careful because the rest of the world are not totally in agreement with how it's leading America, and Americans are not in agreement with how it's leading them. We should always remember Jeff Kennedy. Should also remember. I don't say it on television, but if you don't do what you need to do, what happened to Adolf Hitler? I just be waiting to happen to you. God bless the world. God bless Nigeria.
So, how do you sign off this morning?
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure being on the hot seat this time.
It is what it is.
It's good. Thank you for watching the program.
All right, that will be it for this segment. Trust me, Tom will be back on Wednesday to sit here. This is our position on Wednesday. Sorry, Tuesdays and Thursdays. So don't go anywhere. The Bumper Breakfast continues in a bit. This time around, we're heading straight to Bumper Sports.
invaluable. Inside